Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Shank, and welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. We are here live from Montgomery, Alabama.
Or Mobile. Was it maybe Mobile?
It was almost Mobile, but it's Montgomery.
We made it.
Let's start by welcoming everyone to the show, but congratulations to the UConn men's basketball team as well as South Carolina ladies.
Yes.
Way to take it to the house. In fact, the ladies had a estimated 24 million viewers watching that national championship game on Sunday.
Crazy.
So well done. It was a great game. It was good to watch. I enjoyed it. We didn't get to watch much of the men's because we were in and out of airports, but the ladies, way to go. Hey, let me say something that I love. Let me just start this show on the right foot. First of all, we're mobile right now.
We are, yeah.
But we're not in Mobile. We're in Montgomery.
Yeah.
Mobile. More to come on that here later in the show.
Yeah.
But we're, I think it's something important that I want to stop and say is that in the rush and the bush and the strategy and the marketing and our efforts to be successful and to gain notoriety and to gain financial welfare and to gain authority. Well, not really authority. We think we're gaining authority, but really notoriety, fame, and all of that.
Yeah.
It all comes to a screeching halt the minute an eclipse takes place. As much as we think we got it together, the minute God shows off, the world stops to see.
I agree.
Did you see Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati turn completely dark?
So they had a totality.
You can watch the time lapse, and the players are taking BP, and they're just standing there in the pitch dark, and all the stadium lights are on. Then it comes back to the sunlight. It was sweet.
That's really
so if y'all haven't seen that, jump online, look up Great American Ballpark eclipse, and it'll show you the time lapse. It's really cool.
I like it.
But isn't it amazing that whenever creation or anything God has created peeks its head around a corner and does something completely natural, because a solar eclipse is not an unnatural phenomenon. It is a natural thing that we just don't get to see all the time.
Yep.
There was nothing abnormal that took place. So all those people, whether it was whatever things were being said about an eclipse, it's just a natural phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's not anything supernatural. Well, but it is supernatural because God created it. But what I think is interesting is that anytime God does anything, the whole world stops and everything is so small underneath of his hand. That's what I want to say.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Creation still stops us in our tracks. The whole world stops to see it.
That'll preach.
You bet it will.
It also is not going to happen for like another 50-some years.
Yeah, well, that's not the point. My point is it's natural, but we are overwhelmed by God.
Yeah.
What you saw this week was people being completely overwhelmed by God.
Yeah. It was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, completely overwhelmed by who he is.
Yeah.
So, hey, you asked for it. Let's go quick.
Don't blame me.
We'll do it in post.
You asked for it.
So, the special on the road edition, I got a question for you.
Okay.
We talked about this as we were flying here. When people board an airplane, and you don't want to sit by them, but you know as well as I do, some people just find an empty seat and sit down. So, when people are boarding a plane, and you don't want to sit with it, do you make eye contact? Or are you one of those people that look away? Like, you're going to have to get my attention and then get it. Because some people, like my wife, she's a rule follower. Whatever her ticket says, that plane could be completely empty. And she will sit in her assigned seat until she can move.
Yeah.
Me, if it's completely empty, I actually both flights, I'll ask our stewardess, say, hey, you got those 2 rows back there. Can I sit in one of them? And they're like, oh, yeah, come sit back here. Because we're like the last to board. But are you one of those guys that when people walk down the aisle, you're just like looking away, or you just giving them that stare of, you don't want this?
As I walk down the aisle, or I'm sitting?
You're sitting and they're looking. Are you looking at them like, you don't want this, or are you looking away?
I don't mind.
Are you a look at or look away guy?
I don't mind looking at them. I think because of my sheer size, I'm like, you don't want to sit here. Like, I'm like, I think,
you know, Corey, that's not
more
a threat.
Awkward.
That's more of a, me and Corey sat beside each other on a plane and we took up 2.5 seats.
It's more awkward for them than it is for me. So I don't feel awkward.
Yeah.
I actually feel sorry. I feel bad.
Like, my bad.
They're like, oh gosh, that's my seat. It's right there.
Yeah, they don't want none of this. It's funny because we were actually sitting next to each other yesterday.
Yeah.
And there was a seat beside us, and I was sitting in the seat on the window. You were in the aisle, and there was a seat in the middle.
Yeah.
And this one dude comes over because he was sitting in another seat, and somebody said, "Hey, you're in my seat." So he got up and he looks over at us. He said, "I'm over there."
Oh boy,
I don't want to be
crunched.
So we ended up getting moved to the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get moved. You asked.
I did.
mean, it was a smart move.
And they see us. They're like, "Yeah, you guys get to the back." To the back. So I do have a question I would like. I think everybody that watches this podcast has the same question for me, but it's really for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we're all in the place. I asked before we started shooting tonight, and I just want to know, why don't I ever get to wear headphones? I mean, every podcast I watch, people wear headphones. They look cool.
I mean,
it looks sweet. But then I'm realizing maybe part of it's because they're recording in 2 different locations. So when we do that, I wear headphones. But we're always together in the studio, and I just want to know why I don't.
Okay, so there could be multiple reasons.
Let's hear them.
For one being...
Y'all tell me what you think. Do you think this is good?
For one being...
A good explanation.
You're not the producer, so you don't really need headphones.
I get it.
I wear headphones.
The talent. I get it.
I wear headphones because I have to check on audio levels, because I think, in a clever way, we record this live. I mean, this weekend, this week is special. We're in a hotel room. We're mobile, but... it's still not going to be really edited in any way.
No,
I'll put in the little songs and stuff, but it's live. And so we push record. And so I have to monitor everything live to make sure we're not clipping.
We know why you wear them. You're important. Okay. You're valuable. Without you, the show doesn't happen. Okay. Why don't I wear them?
Yeah. So you can start wearing them mostly in our studio. So if you would have a guest with 2 people, it's not so hard. So there will be random times that you and I might talk over one another. But with 2 people, conversation's pretty easy. You don't really talk over one another. You add a third into the mix, then it's more beneficial for everyone to wear headphones, because the sheer fact that you don't hear them in your ears, you tend to talk over. Like, naturally in conversation, we tend to talk over people. Personally, I think it's really rude. I hate it. It's like a pet peeve of mine when you're talking and someone else just starts talking. That helps in a podcast for everyone to wear headphones if you have more than 2 people.
Yeah,
2 people, not a big deal.
That makes sense. I actually knew the answer. I was just asking for all those people out there that really want me to have headphones on.
If we're getting really technical, I don't have headphones for you because I would just have to have a really long cable in the studio, and I don't have a really long cable for you. So
it's all good, really. Yeah, I mean, I feel valuable. I don't feel as valuable, but I feel somewhat valuable.
I mean, if you really want them.
So, hey, little story time. Well, first of all, do you have a fun fact for us this week, Corey?
Listen, maybe I did have one prepared. It'll be super quick because I feel like our fun fact should be the story.
Yeah, we got a story to tell y'all.
Anyway, my fun fact was eclipse focused. Did you know weird things happen during the eclipse? Like radio signals and stuff get super, super weird.
Interesting.
And apparently animals freak out. So I actually had this conversation while the eclipse was happening where Maddox, we got him out of school early, which honestly in Virginia Beach, it was like only 77% eclipse. So it really wasn't that amazing. Like it's still cool, don't get me wrong.
Like that.
But not like, whoa, where like
you only need like 1% of the sun to be showing to light up the entire.
Yeah.
Like if any of it's showing, you're not getting the eclipse.
It didn't get dark
in Cincinnati. Yeah.
We did have the sunglasses and stuff like that, and we looked at it. But there was a moment where Maddox grabbed our cat and he brought it out. And then there was this moment where we're like, well, don't bring him out, he might look at the sun. And I'm like, our cat's not going to look at the sun. But then there was this thought of like, what stops animals from just looking at the sun and burning their retinas?
Are you saying your cat's retinas are now burnt out?
Well, then we had this conversation. No, they're not. He didn't look at the sun. Because then we had a conversation where I basically said, I think animals are smart enough not to look directly at the sun and burn their eyeballs out. And then it was like, well, there's a lot of people that actually do that during the eclipse. So then I was like, oh man, are animals smarter than people somewhat? So anyway, that's where my fact came from. Yeah, animals get confused during the eclipse. Like they don't know what's going on. And weird things happen with sea turtles. Apparently they just randomly start mating.
Hey, listen, let me give this piece of advice for all you out there. If you're ever in a place of confusion, that's not a bad option.
I mean,
just start mating.
They just freak out and apparently they just start mating.
I kind of like their approach. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I think it's very valiant. I think they're thinking, you know what? We may die any minute.
Yeah.
What a way to go.
Even
get that love of your life and just start loving on them. Just start loving on them.
anyway, that was my fun fact. It's a quick one because I feel like we have a better story to tell.
No, that was a good fact. And it was very, very pertinent, very time.
The things you don't think about.
Yeah. Or very time.
Well, I did that on purpose.
Okay. So. Well, it was good. Yeah, no, I think you had that eclipse thing ready for months,
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
So the story that Corey's referring to, it's really, I've flown hundreds, thousands of hours worth. I've been all over the world. Yeah. And I've never had an experience quite like the one we had coming down here. And, we're from Virginia Beach. So what had happened was we're coming down here for this event. It's for Unity Weekend. It's incredible event down here in Montgomery, Alabama. We're coming to the place of the Legacy Museum, the place where Martin Luther King pastored Dexter Baptist Church here in Montgomery. We got an opportunity to sit down with Bernice King, his daughter, Dr. Bernice King. His daughter was in dinner with us tonight. She was at lunch with us this afternoon. Mm-hmm. We got to meet the pastor at Dexter Baptist, and it's just been an incredible time. Is it Dexter Road or Dexter Baptist?
Baptist.
Dexter Baptist. I don't know why I want to say
it might be Dexter Baptist Memorial.
I don't know why that is.
I will confirm here in 1 second. How about this? Here's a Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church. Sorry. It's been, you'll hear why I'm slurring my words here in a second. Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist
Corey
Church.
Looks like he's not right tonight, y'all. I'm telling you, if you look at this video version of this podcast, the dude looks like he has some problems.
I'm tired,
he looks like
dude.
Alabama is not taking care of him very well.
Listen, you're going to find out why I look like this. You also said I looked like I was drunk before we started the podcast.
I said, bro, you got to do something. You don't look right.
I said rude.
So yesterday, we flying in on Monday, fly out tomorrow. We come down here, and we're flying out from Norfolk to Atlanta and from Atlanta to Montgomery. Well, the whole time,
supposedly,
I have the best admin in the world, first of all. She's the best right hand ever.
She is.
But I told her, I said, yeah, we're going to Mobile. So she got all of our stuff from Mobile. And to her credit, she just came on like 2 weeks ago because I obviously can't organize my own life.
Yeah.
So she just did what I told her.
Yeah.
So last night.
When did we notice?
Well,
it was like,
to tell that.
Okay.
So last night, was it yesterday?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yesterday. It's been a long.
Wow.
It's been a long day.
So we fly in to Atlanta and we land and we're being taxied to Atlanta. And so we have a 2-hour layover. And so I look at my ticket and I look at my phone and my phone says the name of the hotel we're at. And it says Montgomery, Alabama. And I was like, what? So I pulled up the agenda that they had sent me and it said this big event, Montgomery, Alabama. And I was like, I'm 99% sure we're flying to Mobile. Yeah. So I looked at my plane ticket, my connector, and it said Mobile, Alabama.
Yep.
I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I said, Corey, we're going to the wrong city. I said, bro, we're flying to the wrong city for this event. So we go into the airport. Nobody could help us doing anything. So Corey goes to baggage claim because our thought is we're only 2 hours from Montgomery, from Atlanta. So we'll get a rental car and just drive the 2 hours with his bag. It's better than having to get a plane, blah, blah, blah. So tell him your baggage part.
Okay. So, yeah, this is where it gets really fun. So we're like, all right, we're just going to go. We can grab our bag, rent a car, and be good. So we go, and basically immediately you're hit with like, oh, we can't do that.
Like your bag is right here at the airport. Just give it to me.
Yeah. I have a bag. I have a bag number. It's 2024. We can't just look this thing up and just pull it off of a rack somewhere. Because it's going to get scanned off of that plane anyway. Yeah. And so
some of those bags we're going to baggage claim. Just send his to baggage claim.
So we were told
we're not complaining. We're just telling the story.
True. We were told, okay, well, go to baggage claim, talk to them there. They'll be able to handle it. Okay. So you stay up because they also say you're looking at potentially changing our tickets to our flight so we don't go to Mobile.
My right hand in crime is back at the beach.
Yeah.
And she's online and she's getting all the stuff situated for us to get our flights adjusted, see if we can get it going from Mobile to Montgomery.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm saying, Corey, just see if you can get your bag and we'll just drive there. It's 2 hours. It's not that bad.
So I head all the way to baggage claim and it's not close.
It's Atlanta Airport. Anybody who's ever been there, it's a hub for American.
Yeah.
And so it is, or maybe it's Delta. I think it's American.
I don't know. There's Delta everywhere.
Well, I don't know what hub for, but I know it's a lot of air. It's a massive airport.
It's big.
And so Corey had to run about 7 miles to get to baggage.
It was far away.
He's breathing hard every time I call him.
So the first thing I get to, I'm in baggage claim, and just so you know, I very clearly see it. But there's a big sign that says like no reentry after this, and I'm thinking, oh dear
you
Lord.
Understand, this is what 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. It's getting 9.
Anyway. Yeah, it's later. So I get to like a Delta check-in kind of desk. I asked that guy. He's like, oh no, they can't do that. I was like, ah. And so then I keep walking down to baggage claim. I ask a lady. She was actually super nice. She's like, oh, if your flight's not till 10:50, they should be able to just go here. She points me in the right direction. I stand in line. Everything's a line. And I get talking to a lady, and she basically is like, yeah, I don't think that's possible. Like, I don't think we can do that. I was like, there's like nothing we could do here. Can we, like, is it possible that as this bag is getting pulled, can it just be rerouted to Montgomery Airport?
And let me rephrase. Let me just catch y'all up. We landed in Atlanta.
Yes.
His bag is in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Our flights are supposed to go to Mobile, but we need to go to Montgomery.
Yeah.
So we said, just give us the bag and we'll go.
Exactly.
So the bag was in Atlanta with us.
Yeah. Apparently that can't be done.
Can't be done. So
it's
if you lose
not
it, hey,
possible. Yeah.
Or so she gave you a couple options.
Yes.
She said, one,
yeah,
there's a small, teensy-weensy little chance that we can pull it off the plane, but you might be here for hours waiting.
Yeah.
So we knew that wasn't an option because if they do pull it off the plane, well, we would know. We'd have to know earlier because we still have to drive 2 hours.
Well, even then, here's the kicker for that one. She told me, she was like, you could be waiting here for a really long time, and there's a chance that it just keeps going to Mobile.
So we'd have to drive. Yeah. At this point, it's a nightmare because now we'd have to drive to Mobile and then drive up to Montgomery. Yeah. And so you're talking about 4.5 hours from Atlanta to Mobile, 2.5 hours up. I mean, it's a nightmare at this point because there's no option. The second option was we could get the bag off and fly it to Montgomery.
Yeah.
But they're not flying us to Montgomery. So we said, that's fine. We'll just drive. Just get the bag to Montgomery. But then they said they couldn't do that. So they said the option and the thing that was going to happen is that they were going to do what? They said the bag is already in the plane.
Yeah. So
if you're as confused as we are, there's a reason.
It's very confusing. So I'm sitting there waiting because I'm on the phone with you. You're talking to other people. We're like trying to track this thing down. We're like, okay, what are we going to do? And I'm looking at my clock and I know this flight takes off at 10:50. Boarding shuts down 15 minutes earlier. So what's that? 10:35.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, it's stinking like 10:15.
So we just made the decision. We said, listen, it's the only option.
Yeah.
We fly to Mobile because his bag is the only chance that we get his bag tonight based on the thing they said is we fly with his bag to Mobile from Atlanta. The only reason we were flying with the original thing is because they said that was the original ticket. So we decided, let's just fly. Basically, we were going to fly with his bag to Mobile so we get his bag. And then we were going to have to drive 2.5 hours up to Montgomery.
Yeah. And so I'm waiting to hear from you.
And again, we didn't have to go to Mobile.
You get to the gate. Yeah. Which is B39 or something like that.
32.
And you talk to the lady, and she's like, the bag is on this plane.
She said, the bag's here. It's on the plane.
Bag is here.
I said, all right, well, we're just going to ride. We're literally Jason Bourne in it to follow this bag to a place we don't need to go to.
So you're already at the gate. And you're like, all right, Corey, come to the gate. And so I'm like, I got to go through security again.
We have 2 minutes left. And then I'm talking to Corey. He's like, I'm just got to B. And she's like, you have 1 minute left.
Well, even more than this. No, there's still more because I book it out of baggage claim. I have to find security. At this point, it's very late. The whole airport is like
shutting down.
Nothing. It's shutting down.
Flights are,
I finally find security and they point me to check in and I go through and of course, I have to get my bag. You got to take your shoes off and all sorts of stuff. I shove my bag in. There is a line. I'm waiting in line. My bag starts to come out of the machine, and then it goes down another track where you can't get it. And I'm like, I'm getting screened right now. Like that's of all things, I got screened because there's cameras in there and camera batteries and stuff. So he's getting out. He's testing it. He put some liquid on it. And he's testing the batteries and the cameras. So I'm sitting there and I have to wait. And I'm thinking like, I'm missing this flight.
And I'm thinking I'm not getting on if he doesn't make it. I'm standing at the gate, looking at the gate agent and Corey run down the middle of it was a Home Alone moment.
Yeah. So I finally get out and I get my shoes back on and I essentially just book it. I'm running from that point on. I'm running and I eventually perfectly hit the tram door like opening, and I was like, all right, it's faster if I get on here. I get on the tram and I had to go all the way. I was at T and I had to go to like B. So I get to B and then I'm running up the escalator.
At 1 and you have to go to 32.
And I turn the corner, and of course, 32 is like the last gate down the. I'm running. There's video of me running. There's sweat.
We'll have it on here.
I told Brandon, I made the plane. We made it. I think there was 30 seconds to spare.
And when we got on the plane,
it
was about 109 degrees on the plane. The air conditioner wasn't working. We were both we were dehydrated, parched. We sit down, and then they say, we're going to be going in a minute, but we're fixing a couple of mechanical issues. We sat there for another 40 minutes on a hot plane without AC. And I mean, we're not complaining. This is just telling a story.
I had sweat rolling down.
They closed the door. They said, we're going to take off. And then they said, there's no beverage service because it's too rocky. It's like, oh, okay. So then we're on the plane for an hour. It wasn't a long flight.
It wasn't long.
We land in Mobile.
Yeah.
We get out of the plane. And so they call, where we get out of the plane, we hear Corey Broadwater come to baggage. And we're thinking, you've got to be kidding me. We're in a place we don't need to go. And Corey's having his name shouted over top of the speakers.
Yeah.
So we go down to baggage.
Well, first off, we met a guy at the information center. I had no clue what he said. I was like, remember that guy? Oh, yeah. I was like, that's a thick accent.
Anybody who knows, there is a legit accent for people that are, I think it was like Louisiana. It's like the, what is it called? What is it called? The Bayou. It's a legit accent.
Yeah.
And Corey looks at me. I was like, bro.
I don't know what he said, but he pointed. Yeah. And so I'm just going to go where he pointed.
Yeah. I was like, I know exactly what he said. I could understand it. But the thing was, we go over to the baggage, and the lady looks at Corey, and what did she tell you?
Okay. So, I turn the corner, and I immediately, she knows I'm coming. I can see the look on her face.
We flew to a place we didn't have to go to follow this bag.
The
only reason we flew here was because they said that's the only way you're getting your bag tonight.
She's in a glass office, and I can see the look on her face, and she's looking at me like, I have to give this guy terrible news.
So what did she tell you?
So I turn the corner. She's like, are you Corey Broadwater? I'm like, yeah. She's like, your bag is not here.
Actually, what she said was your bag got hit by a plane.
No, your bag fell out of the plane.
Can you tell everybody what I told you whenever they asked me, do you want to check your bag? I said, no, I'm taking on a flight. What did I tell you?
Yeah, to put some underwear in your bag.
I said, Corey, throw some underwear in here, bro. I'm just telling you, if your bag gets lost, you can be grateful.
Yeah.
And then last night, I was like, hey, what I tell you?
The only reason I had to check it back because of this tripod right here.
Hey, it's a business trip.
Yeah, it's a
business trip. So listen.
Well, it gets better.
So they said, what'd they say? They said, we'll fly your bag.
So the bag has to follow me. So here's the thing. The bag is still in Atlanta.
We made the plane and the bag didn't.
They told us that it was on the plane and that bag is going to Mobile. Well, it wasn't. It was still in Atlanta. And so the lady said, we are in Mobile and we are renting a car to go to Montgomery. And the lady said, well, the bag is going to come here on the next flight. I was like, we can't just get it to go to Montgomery.
No,
it's in Atlanta. Can it just go to Montgomery?
They flew the bag from Atlanta to Mobile, from Mobile back to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to Montgomery all in one day. That bag has more mileage on it than most cars.
Because apparently there's no flight from Mobile to Montgomery. So my bag.
But they could have just flown it from Atlanta to Montgomery. The point is, they had to follow the trail. If we had never even. So in hindsight, so let me tell you this: we got here last night at 12:50.
Yeah,
our time. 11:50. No, it was 12:50.
We landed in Mobile
at midnight.
Basically, we hit the road at like 12:30.
It was midnight Central Time, so it was 1:30 our time.
Yes.
We got here at the hotel at 4:00 Eastern Time, which is our time.
Yeah.
3:00 Central Time.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting in at 3:00 in the morning, and we looked at each other, and I said, "Bro, I thought it was in Mobile. Yeah. Did you realize since it was Montgomery, it's only an 11-hour drive from our house? We could have driven and been here quicker."
Yeah. And I
we could have been here in 11 hours. It would have taken us the same amount of time as that whole charade just took.
It was so long story short, an hour ago I got my bag. And we're shooting the podcast.
Yeah. And we're leaving what time is it? We're leaving in like 12 hours.
Yeah.
To fly back. Or 16 hours.
The funny thing is after it all hit, you had basically said it would have been better if we did nothing.
Yeah.
After all of that, you were like, if we would have been like, oh, well, we're just gonna have to go to Mobile and then
not said a word to anybody.
Just didn't say anything.
Yep.
We messed ourselves up.
There last night with us.
I know.
But what we should have done, knowing what we know now, is just driven from Atlanta, and the bag would have gotten here at the same time. The reality is this: we did not have to take the flight to Mobile and drive.
Yeah, give me my bag.
Yeah, so listen,
it's right there.
I mean,
I wish, like in those situations, like, look, I've already been through security. have a guard walk with. I'll go find it. I will search for it. Yeah. let me go. I was so close
to putting on one of those yellow vests and jumping out on the
let me work. Yeah, someone can take a break while I work.
There was a lot of spaghetti in that story, but it's because that's what it felt like.
Yeah, sorry.
I was long. A movie. It was a movie.
Yeah, you know what's funny?
The amount of times I've never been in a place. I was thinking, there's no help here. Like, this is the most unbelievable thing I've ever heard of.
Do you remember before we even knew about all this stuff? I was joking to say like, "Oh man, I hope we don't have like a movie moment where we have to run through."
We had 3 movie moments.
Run through the airport.
You running was Home Alone, straight up. I mean, I felt like it was a joke. And then when we got to Mobile last night, knowing we flew 4.5 hours south to drive 2.5 hours north just to chase a bag, and it wasn't there. I don't know. I've never felt so. One thing you can't get back in life, people, is time. Let me speak to everybody. Right, you'll never get time back. Do you understand? Time never comes back to you. And when we were in Mobile, Alabama, knowing that wasn't the location we were going to end up at, it was 1 a.m, 12:50, and we had to drive 2.5 hours north to Montgomery, and your bag wasn't there. I was thinking that I will never get these moments back in my life.
No,
and I.
Hey,
just flew for no reason to a place I don't need to go to.
I'll say this though, we hit up that gas station. Snacks. We got some snacks.
What fixes everything?
We hit the road.
What fixes everything, Corey? Yeah. Snacks.
We hit the road. I was driving because you forced me to, and we were listening to some good jams.
Great jams.
And then me, your other boy, your podcast boy here fell asleep.
No, I didn't fall asleep. I passed out. It wasn't even about sleeping. I was like this. I was looking at the clock, and I was like, what time does that say?
Your head almost hit my shoulders, dude. You were leaning so far.
Let me tell you that when God intervened in this whole story, we were on our own in the desert. God was nowhere to be found. I know he's omnipresent, but he was as far away as I've ever felt him during this moment. But I'll tell you this. We went because we had a Toyota Corolla reserved for us, which to me, it's like 2 polar bears sitting in a car. Me and you have a Toyota Corolla. And we get there and he says, hey, we're out of the Corolla. Yeah. He says, but I'm going to upgrade you. He's like, do you want a minivan or a Suburban? I said, picture me rolling, you hating.
It's a nice car.
I said, come on, man. And I said, how much extra? He's like, no, it's the same price. I said, all day. Suburban?
He was the only one that hooked us up.
The best part of that whole trip was a 2.5 hour drive.
It was good. It was fun.
I slept good.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. I said, Corey, you drive.
Good music, good jams.
It was a great time.
I actually the last 30 minutes, though, were a struggle for me.
Oh, yeah. I could tell. You were over there, like, beating on the steering wheel, like, trying to sing.
Oh, I was putting on music to sing, too, just to stay awake.
I was so tired. I don't know how many of y'all have been here. I looked at the time. I looked at the clock. And I would look away, and I would look back, and it'd be 30 minutes later. I'm like, what just happened? Or 15 minutes later. I could not keep my eyes.
You kept falling asleep. That's what happened.
I was trying to do everything I could to support you.
You're the worst co-pilot.
Got that beef jerky in there. Got that trail mix.
Our car did smell like beef jerky.
It should. Beef and cheese, it should smell like that when there's a bunch of dudes on a road trip.
Yeah.
Hey, but this, so switching gears, we're here in Montgomery for just an incredible time that we've had with really leaders from all over the country, pastors, organizational leaders, evangelical leaders. Like I said earlier, just some incredible people that we've gotten to meet, gotten to have meals with. The whole purpose is that I'm a part of a bigger group of pastors and evangelical leaders, business leaders it's racial reconciliation in America, and especially within the churches. And how do we get there? And we have Unity Weekend, which our church does every year. This year it's the weekend of June 8th and 9th. And so we do a trip every year as a group. This year was 100 of us on this trip. I think there's 108 people on this trip this year. And the whole purpose of the trip is to expose us to some things. And not just expose, but last year we went to the Museum of African American History in D.C., life-changing. I still think every American citizen should have to go through that to retain their citizenship. Phenomenal. It just helps you see the history. And then today we went through the Legacy Museum, went to a memorial. You can't describe the emotions you feel in a place like this until you've walked through one, because they're unlike emotions you feel any other way. It's not normal sadness. It's not normal despair. It's not normal grief. It's a different feeling. Because there's nothing else that can make you feel the way that these places help you realize, if that makes sense, or understand things. And then it followed some tough conversations. We had roundtable discussions, and there's a lot of emotions in those roundtables, and they're good. And I was the moderator for my table, and I know we had some just incredible conversation. So anyway, I say that because I think as a it's so easy for all of us to feel like we know where we stand on things and we know how we feel about things. But when you come to an event like this, you realize that you have such a small perspective in the scheme of things, right? I mean, the church we were in tonight, in the basement of that church was Martin Luther King's office. He was a pastor in that church for 6 years. The basement of that church is where the Montgomery bus boycott, that whole thing was built within the basement of that church. It's just everywhere you're at here in Montgomery, you feel like you're stepping on history. Mm-hmm. It's different.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're here. And so I really want to push people to get informed, get into these museums, find places that you can go and actually learn, not what you think things are, but learn things. Like one of the powerful moments is they have a bunch of jars of dirt in this museum, and all these jars are from places where lynchings took place. And so they have people go out and they actually dig up the dirt around the country from places where a lynching took place, a specific location. And when they dig up that dirt, they actually put a sign there. Their goal is to have a community involvement where they put a sign like, this lynching happened on this day here. It's a part of our history. And they dig up the dirt from that place and they close that dirt up and they put a name on it and where it was at and the time or whatever, and they the details, and they put it in this museum. And so there's, I think, 800 big jars of dirt, they said, in this museum, and they're just the whole wall. And they're all locations. They went and got dirt from those locations where lynchings took place. And there was a guy that I talked to today that he was looking for, everybody kind of looks for their county or place where they lived, and he looked for his county, and he realized it was somebody that he was related to.
He knew his great grandfather.
This is a different story.
Oh, this is a different one?
The one you're talking about is Corey was alluding to a story that was told tonight at the memorial. This one was actually a guy who knew of the story, and he went and actually the name was there in the actual museum tonight.
Wow.
Of his relative.
Yeah.
So there are people on this trip with us that their relatives are a part of this museum by name. And I think it's so different because I never have gone into any of these exhibits thinking that it may touch my history in that way. Unfortunately, it may touch my history in other ways.
Yeah.
I can say for me, I've done Ancestry.com. My family, we come from a long line of farmers. We weren't really like, that's what we did. The Shanks were farmers in Pennsylvania mainly, Maryland. We were north. We weren't slave owning families. Like, none of my family's really from the South. But that's neither here nor there because, there's a lot of great families who were slave owning families that they weren't, but their ancestors were. Like, I get all that.
Yeah.
But I can say, like, we were all from the north. Like, our line is from the north, Pennsylvania, Maryland mainly. But so I don't always expect to see a ton of my history in these places because we weren't from those areas. I know we played a part like everybody else, or to some degree. I'm sure. I don't know the context of it. But what I do know is when I heard this story, I thought, how that must feel to walk into these places and know that this is actually your family.
Mm-hmm.
It just rocked me to the core.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is so real. And it's real when I see it. It's shattering. I mean, nothing breaks my heart. These places make me feel a way nothing else does. It's like a depth of despair I can't even explain.
Yeah.
But to hear the stories that have come out, just unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I think you realize the shocking part about that is, again, you have a story. We heard another story. That's two people that, like, by name have direct lineage to people in that museum. And it's a group of like 100 some people. And you realize, like, holy cow, like, this isn't some, like, far away thing. This is right here. Like, people in our group today were like, that's my relative right there. And that hits home. And I think for me, walking through that museum, I told you this, like, it's not like there's a huge level of ignorance to it. And so when you're exposed to these things, you realize like, I didn't know what I thought I knew.
Oh yeah.
And so you're overwhelmed by that. You're overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. Like the first couple rooms are just like astronomical numbers in the history of things. And it kind of blows you away there. But then as you go through the museum, you're reading individual people's stories. Mm-hmm. And so the weight of the sheer amount of numbers, and then it personalized, like it makes it very personal. That to me reshaped like everything, the way you think about things, because you're like, it's not just a number. You're overwhelmed by the number, but then you're reminded that every single one of those numbers is a unique story. And when you start to read those unique stories, you're like,
yeah, and
that number becomes so much bigger.
They have holograms. You can look into the cells where they would say they would sell slaves. You look into the cell and like this hologram of a slave would be there and it would talk to you.
Yeah.
And it was just the stories. It's just an unbelievable experience. Really impressive.
Yeah.
And how they made it come to life. And, just being here, it makes your heart really sad for our history. But I would say this, we need to teach our kids the real history of our country. Mm. And we need to tear down everything in this country that represents anything that brings divisiveness or hate between races. There was a story told today that I thought was so good. And he was talking about Berlin, which is the capital of Germany, and how they have torn down everything that was the Hitler regime, that was Nazi, and they educate their kids on what took place and the DNA of it, and they have admitted the wrong.
Yeah.
And they have removed everything that is even a part of that regime. You can't even find anything related to it. And these kids are fully informed. They realize the role that their country played in it, but that how it was wrong. Like they educate them, and the country has moved forward, and they're an ally to the United States.
Well, even more than that, I think in the same way, like what you were talking about with the jars of dirt that are markers, they were explaining that, everywhere you go in Germany, there's markers of where Jewish families lived, that their lives were taken. And so you're not only you're part of a culture that was a part of genocide, like one of the biggest in history. And
you're honoring all those people now.
But now you have markers and reminders throughout your entire country of, man, this is what we did to other people. And I think that
is a part of our history, but it's not who we are.
Yes, exactly.
And we're moving on. We're gonna be different.
Yeah.
And that's something we need to do in the United States.
Yeah.
We need to put markers up where things took place so we can show, like in the Bible, whenever the Hebrews came out of Egypt, God said, put stones there so that when your kids come back, they'll be able to see what I did here in this place.
Yeah.
And we need to put markers up. And that's what they're starting to do with these places where their lynchings took place and all these different things. We need to go through this country. We need to tear down all the things that represent markers that we don't want. They're not markers of good things. They're markers that divide. They're things that show that we hate.
Yeah.
But we need to put markers up of the places where things have happened so that we can teach history. And we need to get away from this arrogance that feels like we need to protect our forefathers. No, we need to tell the real story of this country, because that will bring healing, and it'll bring unity, and it'll bring care and compassion for one another. And it won't be sides. It won't be North and South. I think something they said today was really powerful. He said North won the war, but South has won the narrative a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very powerful.
Yeah.
It was a very big picture of the reality of really where we sit.
Yeah.
The North won it, but the South gets to tell the story. And I just think that if we're going to move forward as a country, Germany is a great place to learn from if that's the case, based on the story that was told to us.
Yeah.
Let's build markers. Let's talk about our history. Yeah, we're not proud of all of it. We can come together and we can tell the story, because our kids will see, wow, what are these people, the reconciliation, the way that they love each other now, and that these stories are no longer, right down here, I'm looking, as I'm sitting here, you can almost see the courthouse where the Selma March ended and MLK was on the front steps of it. These are powerful, powerful, powerful moments.
Yeah, I think like Eve, just to add to that we were told this beautiful story of one of those jars where simply a lady knew of a place near her where a lynching took place, and it was this white guy's farm, and she goes onto this land and she wants to dig some soil, and sure enough, they're going
to put up a sign there eventually.
Yeah. Sure enough,
bring the soil here.
The guy that owns the farm, the land, kind of stops, and she's kind of fearful, taken back by it, afraid of what interaction might take place. And this kind of, this white guy is basically saying like, hey, what are you doing? And, they're kind of told they don't have to necessarily explain what they're doing, but she felt kind of led by the Holy Spirit to kind of say, like, this is where a lynching took place, and I am memorializing it. And so there's this beautiful moment where this guy basically offers to help, and she's digging with kind of like a little tool, and she goes to hand it to him. He's like, no, I want to use my hands. And they have this beautiful moment where he's helping her, and I think at the end of the story, they're both just kind of weeping. And, we heard that she wanted to bring this jar to the museum that we went through today. And he said, can I come with you? Like, it's so cool. Like
and his fear was, he said, my fear is that my grandfather was a part of the mob that killed this relative of yours. And so you have this person. So you have these two people that have come together to bring this dirt here to this museum to say, this is the site of it. My family was a part of it. Your family suffered from it. Let's come together and be a part of the solution. Yeah. There's just so many, we could sit here for hours and tell stories. Yeah. But if you haven't, go to these places, go to these museums. I'm telling you, there's so much history that we ignore that needs to be told. And it's not a pointing a finger at saying, let's do this together and let's make it right for our kids. Make it even better. Yeah. So final thought.
Here's my final thought.
So Corey is a huge fan of Costco and the $1.50 hot dog combo.
Sam's Club, but yeah, Costco's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, massive hot dog, drink, and what else you get?
You just get a hot dog and a drink, but sometimes I get the pizza and the drink. It just
$1.50.
I mean, when you talk about, you could get a ginormous Nathan's hot dog and a huge slice of pizza for $3. And then each of those comes with a ginormous drink. You have 2 drinks.
I mean, you're just going
$3.
It's hard deal to beat.
I could feed my whole family for like $8.50 at
You guys
Sam's
ever
Club.
done that?
Yeah, all the time.
Does it fill you up?
Yeah.
How often? You say all the time. How often?
Okay. I don't know. Once every 2.5 weeks or something. My boys love it because my boys love
So it's twice a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, potentially once or twice a month.
And so what do you usually get when you go?
It just depends. I'll either get a hot dog or pizza.
So you just get one hot dog and a drink.
So normally my wife will get a hot dog and normally I get a pizza, but sometimes, it just depends on what you feel. And then she will get a pretzel and we'll split a pretzel. She tends to eat more. I don't know. I'm not like huge on pretzels, but I like them.
So you'll eat one piece of pizza and a pretzel for dinner?
Like half of a pretzel. Yeah.
And that fills you up?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, they're big slices of pizza. They're not little.
With the pepperoni?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get the pepperoni.
Or they have meat lovers too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll get meat lovers too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So the $1.50 combo at Costco, the chief financial officer, Richard Galani, I think it's Galani or Jelani. It's Galanti. I'm going to say Galani. Galani, he's retired after 40 years. And so the fear is that this combo is going.
I heard about this.
Yeah. But he says the combo is safe for a while. So get it while it's hot. Literally, get it while it's hot. So it's still there.
Don't go anywhere.
Because this is the thing. If Costco drops it, Sam's Club's probably.
Come on now.
It's probably, they're all in it together, man.
Don't speak that evil.
But you say, why do you bring this up? Because listen, in life, not everything's going to last. Enjoy the things that do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Enjoy the things that do, man.
I'm stressed.
And hold on to them. And if you like that $1.50 hot dog combo,
I do.
Just go after it.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but go after it. You know what I mean?
It's good.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
It's a Nathan's hot dog. It's really good.
Nathan hot dog's pretty good.
And it's huge.
How big are they? Foot long?
No, they're just like,
just
take a hot dog that you have at home and make it like 3 times the size of that.
Really?
Yeah. They're big.
Wow. You ketchup mustard guy?
Just ketchup.
Okay.
I hate mustard.
Okay. That's fair. I like mustard on brats.
Just so you know.
Yeah, I like mustard on brats, ketchup on hot dogs.
Yeah.
I like sauerkraut on hot dogs. I can do that.
I like hot dogs cooked in sauerkraut.
Yeah, I like that too.
I just don't like sauerkraut.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Well,
listen, today I hope y'all feel informed. I mean, you've learned of Travel Diary. You've learned that we've got to get this country on the right track, and we will. And you've learned that you can go to Costco right now, and that feeling you have, that emotional feeling you can't get rid of, the hot dog will fix it. $1.50. Just if you stick here on the podcast, I'm telling you, your life will get better. Man. If you just listen to what we're trying to tell you, your life is going to improve spiritually, physically, emotionally. Yeah. Well, today, not as much physically based on the hot dog conversation, but for everything else. But hey, again, congratulations to UConn. Congratulations to South Carolina. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves because we're going to win the World Series, even though it's only April.
Yeah.
And Jackson Holiday just got called up. So
we'll see
what happens with those. All right. Hey, let me pray for you, Lord. I thank you so much for each and every person. I thank you for all that you're doing. We love you. We praise you. We thank you. We surrender to you. In Jesus' name, everybody said, amen. Hey, we'll see you this week, 9:30 online, in person, Virginia Beach, Oakland. We got you out from Montgomery. Love y'all.